In this sequence, I'm going to put together the restrooms that were located right next to the golf course, some of the older structures in the park. They were basically very simple structures. I just printed out on here a simple graphic of a wood clapboard structure, which is what it was. It had windows. It looked like a little mini house and a doorway. The men's room urinals were basically these long bathtubs. That's good old-fashioned ingenuity for you. So this also had, the women's room and the men's room also had a little sort of mini veranda, a little step up and a little porch before you go in, so I'll make those later. But for now, this is going to be very simple. I'm using the same technique I used on the soda game earlier, where I cut a piece of foam core board and I'm just going to wrap this around the foam core board and glue it down. And the same thing for the men's room. And then I'll have the two pieces glued down there, and that's the way I'm going to do the tunnel. I'll just take these strips of clapboard and just glue it right to the back of the restrooms, and that'll hold it up nice and sturdy. I was going to do the tunnel with foam core board as well, but it's just too thick at this scale and it wouldn't look right. So I'm just going to use these and it should work out fine. Another nice thing about this is the tunnel curved right here around the corner, and I'll be able to easily curve this. And then I'll get my little bamboo sticks and put them in here and glue them to the bamboo sticks to hold it in place. And same for the back. I can do that. What I might do with the back too is just, because it's a little bit lower than the front half because the roof slanted down, I'll just bend this a little bit, and that'll give me a lip that I can glue down here to give it a little more stability. As for the main entrance right here, this is something that's going to have to wait until I get 3D printing going, because the actual entrance to the tunnel was a walkway made out of concrete and stone that went up over the tunnel and then across and then down here. And it also had a fountain in it made up of these stone letters that said Mountain Park Golf Course, or Mountain Park Golf, I think it just said. And that will have to be 3D printed, and that will fit in here at a later date. But for now, this will be easy enough to do. It's just two very simple buildings like the soda game was. And then I'll put the little strips of, I was going to say dry erase board. No, I'm not going to use dry erase board. I'm going to put the little strips of foam core board on the roof and then glue the roof on, and I'll do the same here for the tunnel. I'll just put the strips of foam core board along here to give it stability and then glue the roof right onto that. So it shouldn't take very long at all. All right, so I have my two buildings, and I've got my foam core board on the bottom, and I've got my little foam core supports on the side, and I got my roof pieces, so it's all ready to put together. Didn't take long at all. I'll just add a little bit of wood glue on the bottom, and then get my Q-tip and spread that around. And then just affix it right onto the footprint there. There we go. That ain't going anywhere. And same thing for this one. There we go. And affix this one down. There we go. And then for the roof, just get my clear glue and just put a little bead. just add the roof. And I'm just going to get another Q-tip and I'm just going to go around the edge to pick up any excess glue that may have dripped out. There we have it. Restrooms are done. And so the next step will be to add the tunnel. Okay, so I have the beginnings of the tunnel here. And notice the wraparound. And what I did is I put those two little bamboo stakes in. And all I did was on here, I wrapped it around and glued it and created that curve. This is just glued to the back of the buildings here. And for this, I did put a piece of foam core board right here and glued it down. It's not visible if you look into the tunnel, which is the main concern I had. And it goes right to the corner here, so it'll help sculpt the corner. And then I'll do the same with this. I'll just glue this, wrap this, glue it around, and wrap it around there. I'm going to wait for this to dry a little longer, and then that should be it. All right. The tunnel is done. Not bad, if I do say so myself, and I do say so myself. And the next step now is over here. The Pop-It game, baseball game, and the arcade. Well, change of plans. Rather than starting on this section over here, I figured I'd do this. When I started researching, which is how I'm spending most of my time now, is just going through hundreds of photos of the park to try to coordinate things and figure out what's what. I noticed that these were two separate buildings. Originally I had them one whole building, and they actually had a space between them. And this had two concessions, the two shooting games, shoot out the stars and shoot till you win. And in the end, it just had a big sign up above it that simply said, shoot 'em out. And then, and this was the rollerball concession in the final couple of years of the park. This one over here was the novelty game right next to the office. But they did have a space between them, although they were joined by the same awning, which is why I always thought it was the same building. But no, they're separate. So I just made a little foam core board base like I've done for the other buildings. And I'm working on the graphics on the computer, and I'll just wrap that around here. This one had a gabled roof though, so that'll be a little different. And then this one here would be really complex. This is the action game, which had a very intricate facade, but this also had a gabled roof here, and a gabled roof here, and a gabled roof here. So that's going to take me a little figuring out. So I might delay that one since it's a separate building and then move on to this one. One other thing I did is over here back at the Clambake Pavilion, when I was looking at various photos, I realized that this really had another piece, and it may have, I'm having trouble finding clear enough photographs, but it looked like it had a piece that came right off of here, and then it may have had a door down here, but I'm not sure. Some photos it looks like windows, one photo it looked like a door. I really can't remember seeing that at all. But the roof line up here was really like three separate roof lines. So I tried to recreate a little bit of that, give it a little more definition there. So onward and upward. Okay, so here's my little box structure for the shooting galleries. And I've got my roof. And what I did for this one, when I put the styrofoam on the bottom, is I also put these little roof lines against here to give myself something to affix the roof to. It's a little more sturdy. So all I got to do now is just put my clear glue on there. Dum-de-dum. There we go, nice blob of clear glue. The thing with the clear glue is the tip will get solid when the glue dries, and I forget to clean it off before I squeeze the glue out. And there we have it. Shoot 'em out is done. And now I'm going to move on to the arcade and games next door. Okay, change of plans. So I know I keep saying I'm going to do that arcade, but I noticed there were two little buildings down here that I could easily complete in a fairly short time. One of them was the restrooms, and you can see them right here. And I just have to finish putting the roof on there once this all dries. And this is a pretty standard building. The door in the middle was the maintenance door that went in a corridor right down the middle for all the plumbing. And then you had women on the left, men on the right. And I should have put those on there. This, I think it said men here, and women here, or something like that. I'll have to look and see if I can find the pictures, and I can just glue a little piece on there. And then the other one is the stage, which is a little more complicated. You can see the piece here, and these flaps on the end are going to bend in. The stage was basically just a stage and a roof that went out over the audience, and the audience were simply little park benches, bleachers benches basically, that were in line here, alternating red, white, and blue on the slope, which of course there's no slope here, but it'll still work. So I haven't figured out exactly what I'm going to do with the bleachers yet. I think I'm going to make them in 3D. That'll be easy. Or I might just use some of the coaster structure here and just clip off, leave one of these feet on each end and then just set them down here. But I think they're going to be a little too wide for that. But I might try that just to see how it works out. And then paint them red, white, and blue. So, but there's the stage coming along. And what I did is on here, I printed this out with all these pieces separately. And then I just glued styrofoam under here and then glued everything together. So I can affix this nice and solid onto there. And how I'm going to do the roof, which extended out over part of the audience, the roof is going to be on little posts. So, and what I might do with that is put a piece of foam core board, very thin piece, across those two skewers, and that way with the skewers, the foam core will fit right on top of it, and then I can glue the roof right onto that. So off we go. All right, here's how we're coming so far. I've got the little benches in, and I created a little strut here with the bamboo posts and the top here. And all I'm going to do now is just glue the roof in place, and the stage and the restrooms should be done. And there we have it. The restrooms and the stage are done. The only thing missing is on the restrooms right here and there. It should say ladies and men, and I'll just have to add that later and glue that on. But that takes care of that. And so the next thing we're going to tackle, I swear, is going to be the Playland Arcade. Until next time.